Yep. We got so excited. We're too excited to be here.
Oh, thank God it's Friday.
Yes.
I mean,
I've never been happier.
thank fucking God it's Friday. I mean, it has been a week. Lady in Gray, the babies are settling in. They will show up in a little bit. Monkey Butt will bring them one at a time to say hello. Yeah, it's very different than Jasper since I was Jasper's mama. You know, he was only 4 or 5 days old and had been bottle fed, so he was taken from his mom at 2 days. These guys have been with their mom almost 3 weeks. They'd be very attached to mama. Where Jasper would cry for me if I wasn't around, Willie and Roscoe cry when their other mom, and now I have to teach them that I'm their mom while also not freaking her out.
That's true. That's true.
And Jasper doesn't know what they are. But there we go. That's all I got to say about that.
I was going to say, maybe let's save that for in just a few minutes, and then our listeners will know what you're talking about because they may not have watched Couch Court with Llama this morning to see the sneak peek.
I just think that this is one continuous stream.
Today, it feels like it.
I mean, it
sitting in
never
the chair
stops.
since 8:30 this morning.
It never stops. Well, I guess I should say hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of True Crime and Wine Time. I am your host, Teri True Crime.
And I'm Llama.
And guess what, guys? We dive into the most jaw-dropping true crime stories while sipping something smooth to take the edge off. We both went for the heavy stuff tonight. So, guys, pour a glass, lock your doors, and let's uncork the truth behind some of the darkest crimes. And let me say, the darkest crimes are picked by Llama. Just so y'all are aware, this is another Llama night.
That's true. That's true. It is. So, yeah, speaking of, tonight we will be covering the bizarre case of Austin Harrouff and what made this quiet college kid turn into a face-eating killer. Yep, you heard that right. But before we begin, if you're watching us on YouTube, please hit the like button, thumbs up, subscribe to our channel, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss when we go live or drop an episode. And if you're listening to this as a pod, please leave us a rating or a review, whatever it is that pod place says you have to do. It really helps get our pod name out there, and it's free. It's free to support us that way, and we really, really appreciate it.
And if you're watching us over on the book face, you can like it and give us a thumbs up there just as well, because I know we do have some book face followers.
We do, because we stream on Facebook and YouTube simultaneously.
Yes. Now, also a very quick reminder, Llama and I will be live in person July 19th in Marion, Ohio. You can see all of this bananery in person, and where we will be covering 2 Ohio-specific cases, the disappearance of Andy Chapman and the unsolved murder of Joey LaBute. Tickets are on sale now, and you can follow the link in the description of this video or in our About section. It's also over on the book face. It's everywhere. Space is limited, so order your tickets today. Guys, it is a very small venue, okay? It is going to be up close and personal. Now, good news, if you can't make it to Ohio, you can always become a member of our YouTube channel where we will be streaming it live exclusively to our members. Also, guys, because we're going to be together that weekend, along with the Miss and her other half and Elbow Feet, there's going to be some other members only live stream bananeries going on.
Yes, there will.
You can take that to the bank. Okay?
Yes, there will.
Now, if you would like us to come to a place closer to you, please fill out our live event form, or you can email Teri, which would be me, at tcwtmedia.com, and we will see what we can set up.
I know. It could be anything, a winery. Maybe there's like a bar or arcade. Somebody suggested that to us, and I was like, that sounds awesome. Let's go. Or maybe it's a brewery. We're not big into beer, but you know what? We would show up just to meet our fans.
As long as they have
Yeah,
alcohol, I think we can make it work.
that's true. That's
But they
true.
need to serve something besides beer because beer makes me burp a whole lot, and that would not look good.
Now before we go into what we're drinking, did you want to show up?
Well, Monkey Butt has not shown up with them yet. I don't
Okay.
and
All right. Well, then we'll just
she's
continue on with the drinking,
hold on
but
just a second.
okay. All right.
Oh,
I'll
she is
entertain.
getting now, Double H just informed me. She's getting ours. So for those of you that do not know, me and Double H welcomed twins.
Mm-hmm.
They were born May 25th, and today is the first time that they are being seen on camera. I hear one of them crying. So here comes a baby. I don't know which one it is. So we have Willie and Roscoe are
Oh
the
my goodness.
babies.
You guys prepare yourself. And by the way, if you're just listening to this pod, find our YouTube channel, True Crime and Wine
Yes.
Time, and you
Are
will
you coming,
see
sweetie?
these adorable
Come
twins
on.
with your own eyes. And I promise you, you will not be disappointed because they are so cute. And you must be thinking, if you're listening, wait a second, that doesn't sound like a baby. And you know what? You would be right. It's not an actual human baby, but it's a goat baby.
It is a baby goat. This is Willie because he has the white spot on his head.
That's
He has
right.
brown eyes. His brother Roscoe has blue eyes.
Oh, I love that.
He likes to be close down here. He doesn't like to be held up.
Well, yeah. Look how cute they are.
I mean,
Oh my
I
goodness.
walked 3 hours. They've had a rough day.
It's a big day for them. It's a big day. But, you know, you did a lovely thing keeping their mom with them until they're weaned
Oh,
off so they, you know, can get accustomed to things on their own terms and time, which I think is great.
is his middle name Nelson? Guys, do not laugh at me. I got to thinking, I really wish I would have named them Jackson and Alessi. I don't know how weird that makes me, but yeah. So this is Willie. He's got the brown eyes and he is very sweet. Monkey Butt, which is my granddaughter, is going to sleep out in the goat house with them tonight
Oh,
on a little, the air mattress is really big and we want them to have room. So we blew up a pool float and she's going to use that as her mattress.
I mean, how could you be away from the goats? I get it. I do the same, Monkey, but I know she's not probably watching this
She's
show
going
in
to love
particular,
this.
but
Yes. So
I love that.
and they will start with their bottle feeding and supplements tomorrow.
Oh,
And then this week, maybe not this weekend, maybe next weekend, they will start their swimming lessons.
oh,
Because
lovely.
adult goats do not like water. You have to teach them when they're young to like
Mm.
water or they don't like water. And we did it with Jasper, and I'm glad we did. So, and if you like goats, when the goat house is finished, there will be a goat cam. So there will be tons of
Yay.
videos.
Yay. I will be watching all of the goats always.
Oh, at
For
54,
sure.
I had twins. How do I look? 3 weeks.
You look fantastic for a new mom.
But guys, they were born the same day as our Annie's little one. So I think they're triplets.
Yeah. Yes, our lovely bestie and staff member Annie. She also had a human baby.
A human.
A human baby on the same day, which we all realized today, which was hilarious on Couch Court with Llama. So that was great. Well, thank you.
They want to know if they wear floaties. No, they do not. They can swim and they do let them float on a big float. So, and then it looks like Captain asked, would I like to adopt an old bee? I already have one. So no, I don't need it.
I'd adopt you, but I'm pretty sure my house isn't as amazing as Teri's. She has all the fun. She has goats. I don't have goats.
Yeah. We had them in their onesies earlier, and one of them, the diaper slid down. It was Roscoe, and so he wet his onesie, so it had to go into the wash. It is too freaking warm to put their pajamas on them yet.
Oh, I
It
believe
is so
it.
humid and hot. It is just nasty today.
It
but
is
they will
here
get
too.
them before they go to bed. And if you are over on our Discord, you will be able to see.
That's true.
Oh,
We do have a Discord called the
I hear
Courtyard.
Wasco.
And I encourage you all to join because if you enjoy seeing us and talking to us or any people in our live chats, that's where we all hang out when we're not live. Oh no. There's the other one who's like, I want to be on camera too. No. They are so stinking adorable. Susan says, my friend had goats. I used to watch them pooping pellets on the ground.
Guys, they are so easy to clean up. It is
That's interesting.
and some people sell the goat pellets because they are great fertilizer for your yard. So you can go to different farmers markets and things, and they will sell bags of goat poop.
The more you know.
The more
Little
you
did you
know.
guys know you were also going to be educated in the same episode about goats.
Say hi.
But here we are.
And guess what? They will not try to eat your face off. If you're lucky, they'll give you little licks.
Oh,
But they don't have top teeth. So
we should just learn the other day. That was amazing. That was very interesting. I did not know that.
So now they're going back outside with mama.
Okay. We're professionals around here. Sure. All right. Well, thank you for showing off your goats, Teri. Well, let's get into what we're drinking and then we're going to get into the story. I promise we're going to get to it very, very quickly. So I did have a lovely a lovely bottle of Hot to Trot that Teri had sent me a few weeks ago. But with the week I've had, I opened that one a few days ago. So that didn't work out. So tonight I've switched up wine for a well-deserved margarita made with Austrial tequila. That's right. We're not true crime in wine time. We're true crime in liquor time tonight because we've had that kind of week, Teri. So I'm drinking Austrial tequila, which I very much enjoy. And tonight I paired it with, sorry, I got to keep reaching down here because they're heavy and they're on the floor. Uptown Cocktails Mango Margarita, which is also 13.9%. So, yes, I am adding tequila to my. Yeah. Well, Elbow Feet picked these up for me because I was like, I need you to do this. And he also got us another mix, which is Gloria Rocket Pop Margarita Mix, which is also 13.9%. But I opted out of that one because I didn't know if it would give me blue raspberry mouth. And after the members only disco teeth situation, I decided, not today, Satan. Not today. It's not happening. I got a rough enough week. So,
okay. I think the fact that you have 3 bottles tells you what kind of week it's been for you.
Yes, it's been that kind of week. But I'm so happy. You know, being here with everybody makes me very happy. It does make it better.
Well,
it does, doesn't it?
I decided to not do wine either. I needed something a little stronger than wine. So I'm having a watermelon margarita on the rocks. But guys, it's made with Tito's vodka so it's kind of a margarita, but tequila makes my clothes fall off. And I didn't think it was that kind of channel. So I should just keep it in check tonight.
Where's the Jello shots? It's frat party, right?
I love Jello shots. I make them for all of our pool parties.
You can tell we're not as young anymore as like college age kids because we're like, we're spending our money on the good stuff, not the Kamchaka that you. If you know, you know.
If you know, you know.
If you know, you know. Well, that sounds delicious. All right, you guys. But with that, let's get into what you all are really here for. And that is the literally insane tale of Austin Harrouff. Yes, that kid.
Yeah.
That's an interesting photo. Okay.
It's a frat brothers photo. That looks like all of the frat boys photos that I know, except for he doesn't have the little ruffles, which they did back in the day.
Okay. Well, why don't you tell us a little bit about his background, Teri?
So, Austin Kelly Harrouff.
I think it's Harrouff.
I think, yeah, I just think we'll call him Austin, but he was born December 21st, 1996 in Jupiter, Florida to Wade and Mina. Now, his father, Wade, is an area dentist because apparently we just can't get away from the freaking dentist. Dentist, necrophilia, and people who eat people. It just can't. So
You're
Austin's
welcome.
parents, yeah, thank you, Llama. Austin's parents divorced when he was 13, but both parents had found new significant others within a year. Okay.
Okay.
Now, his primary home was with his mother and his younger sister, Haley, but they say he maintained a close relationship with his father. Now, they say the split families appeared to get along without acrimony. And guys, if they can do that, that is the best for the children, just to let
Mhm.
you all know.
I
You should
agree.
all take note of Demi Moore and Bruce Willis and the way they handled their divorce and stuff.
Right? It's
Okay.
not about your drama. It's about the kids. Get over
It's
yourselves.
about the kids. Now, Austin was an above average student. Now, he wasn't excellent, but he did really excel in art. Okay. It was the one class where he seemed to show a promise and earn all A's, moving him
Okay.
further to cultivate this talent.
Love that.
Now, guys, he began uploading videos to YouTube on March 8th, 2016,
Oh,
under the
no.
name A Frost or Austy Frost. I'm just looking around, making sure it's not on our channel, starting with
Oh,
his
no.
only short on the channel. Okay. Now, on May 28th, 2016, he uploaded his first audio track, a freestyle rap song from his LP, Make Trap Great Again.
Oh, wow. Okay. Okay. Make trap great again. Okay.
Uh, I'm just not
I
going to say
mean,
anything.
everybody's so creative. But okay.
Everybody is so creative. Now, however, on August 11th, 2016, he uploaded his last video just days before his arrest. Okay. Of the 53 videos on his YouTube account, a handful focused on fitness tips and his distaste for steroids.
That's interesting. Okay.
That's a random thing. I mean, others feature rap songs and cover songs like Hound Dog and the Beatles' Let It Be.
Okay. That's interesting. Oh. Oh. Okay.
Yeah.
Those are some choices made.
Those are, I
But you
mean,
have more
these are the,
subscribers than we do. So can you guys please subscribe to us to be better than this Afros guy? Please and thank you.
I didn't see how many he had.
We're almost at 2,000 subscribers, by the way. Side note, we're almost at 2,000 subscribers. So we should think about a stream for when we hit that because we are not that far away. We're like 100 and something
Now,
odd numbers.
in case y'all are wondering, those are the art of his album covers. Okay. So
Okay.
we just got another weather alert. So in other videos, he used strange voices talking about strange topics and showed erratic behavior.
Mm.
I just got a great idea. See, the Tito's just hit
Okay.
with my voice app I bought where I can change my voice.
Mhm.
I could do some special videos reading stuff in really weird voices. What do you
Okay.
think?
I mean, that's an idea. That's an idea. No,
Not a
I'm just
good
kidding.
idea, but it's an idea, right?
We'll bring that to our meeting on Monday and see what. But
Well,
it's a good idea.
yeah,
Why not?
okay. Now, Austin attended Florida State University. I
Okay.
refuse to say go Knowles. So
Okay.
lose Knowles in Tallahassee, Florida. But at the age of 19, something would happen that would change his life forever. I'm sorry.
Mm,
If you're in Florida, you got to be a Gator.
I don't sports ball, so I have no dog in this fight or Buckeye in this fight, I guess, since I'm from
Yeah.
Ohio.
So let's hear about how his life changed.
Let's hear about that. I hope you guys are ready. Okay, brace yourselves. So on August 15th, 2016, Michelle Michon, 53, and her husband, landscaper John Stevens, 59, were in their garage. Look at them. And what a lovely couple. Oh
Look at
gosh,
them.
this is going to be so hard. This is going to be so hard. Oh my goodness. Okay.
Yeah.
They look like lovely, wonderful people that I would want to hang out with. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So they were in their garage and it had been converted into a TV room with a sofa and whatever other comforts they required for vegging out, which again, I approve of. I am like, let's get all my snacks together.
Mm-hmm.
My nest, as I like to call it. My friends know I call it my nest. I get you. I get you. And you know that they had it set up well because the neighbors like to come over and hang out. So the couple often left the garage door open like they did that night so friends could stop by. But that very garage transformed into a neighborhood hangout for friends and family. It became a place where they'd spend their last moments. Now, before we discuss the vicious crimes that took their lives, let's share a little bit about the couple because I think it's always important to know a little bit about these victims who do get lost in stories that are
Look at the
sensational.
puppers.
Oh my
Look at the
gosh.
puppers.
Oh, that pup is so cute. Look at him. Oh my gosh. Okay. So the couple was loved by their friends and family, as evidenced by more than the 500 people who attended their funeral, including John's children and Michelle's father, who shared memories of the two and highlighted their close relationship. Now, Michelle's father, Jeff Michon, a former Miami mayor, said they were a dream couple and truly two of God's best children. John Stevens' son, John Stevens IV, and his daughter, Ivy, spoke lovingly about their father and stepmother. He was an inspiring father and an excited grandfather, Stevens said. Stevens cried thinking of how his father had been robbed of the chance to meet his new granddaughter. He would have met her in a matter of weeks at her baptism. Oh,
That just take
goosebumps.
my heart, strip it out of my chest, and that makes me very sad.
Oh, this is tough, you guys. This is tough.
And I don't know if you're watching the chat, but Cap'n is no longer coming to Ohio.
Why this took place in Florida? What does that have to do with anything?
Exactly. What's wrong that I have a good friend, old boss, that's a caterer, so I have to support them. So you can just stay home, Cap'n.
Just stay out. No, I'm just kidding. You're so invited. Please come. Anyway, so quote, he couldn't wait to meet her. He couldn't wait to take her on the water, Stevens cried. The couple loved boating, fishing, and the water, which makes sense why they live in Florida. Their friend, Denise Anderson, described Mission as a very special person. What a fish is
I'm like
that?
going, what kind of fish is this?
Is that real? That's a real fish swimming in the ocean? I live in Ohio, so we don't have fish like that. Okay.
I have never seen a fish like that. I need somebody to maybe Miss Amiss can like do that Google Lens thing. I need to know what kind of fish that is. Do you eat that fish
I don't know.
or do you put it back?
It's an interesting fish,
Okay.
but okay. Anyway, so they described Mishkan as a very special person and called Stevens one of the sweetest, mild-mannered men you'd ever meet. She added that the couple had an open door policy with regards to the garage living room and that they welcomed everybody in the community and it was a place where people could connect and relax after a day of work. Oh, gosh. You know, as an avid follower of true crime, I do not recommend doing this regardless of where you live.
I know. I was like, it sounds so great, but I'm going to just say probably not a great idea.
It's not a great idea, which is sad, right?
Which is sad.
Because people, one, I feel like community is missing in a lot of neighborhoods, my own included. You know, and you should be able to open your doors to those in your neighborhood and feel safe about it. But unfortunately, that's not the reality of the world we live in. It's just
I
not.
mean,
And
growing
this is
up,
not victim blaming. This is not victim
no,
blaming.
it's the way the world's changed. Because growing up, our back door, we had a back door from the garage that would come in from the backyard, the back door into the house. My parents had a key hanging right next to the door frame so
Hmm.
that you could unlock the door and come in. The key
Interesting.
was right there. That's how much we trusted people.
Oh yeah, like I grew up in a small town. We never locked our doors. But so Amos, the lovely Amos, has researched. It is mahi mahi, which I know what that is, but I didn't even know that's what it looked like.
That's a
A
mahi
very
mahi?
colorful fish that tends to have a bluish green or turquoise top that fades in the greenish sides with a yellowish belly. That's interesting. Interesting. Okay. The fish is covered with small bluish green dots, and the body is elongated with a blunt head. It has a deep forked tail, and the average size of these fish is 2 to 15 pounds. Look at this
I
learning
had
stuff.
no idea mahi mahi looked like that.
Me either. I've seen it on a menu. I had no idea what it looks like. I
I
honestly
seen
thought
it
it was
on a menu.
tuna. I feel like somebody once told me in my life that it was tuna, and I just went with it. I was like, oh, yeah, okay. Apparently not. I'm pretty sure that's not what a tuna looks like. I've seen a tuna. Anyway, if you don't know what we're talking about on the pod, please go over to
Yeah.
our YouTube channel and you'll be like,
So
okay, you guys, you're right. That fish is weird. Okay. But let's get back to the story here. So when they left the garage door open, they certainly didn't expect the visitor that stopped by. We don't know exactly what happened when he arrived, and we will hear Austin's story later. But we know that Michelle died first from blunt force trauma, and she never made it out of the garage. Now, John had tried to come to the defense of his wife, also suffering from blunt force trauma. He was also stabbed 18 times. That's a lot of times, you guys. It's a lot of times. Now, law enforcement found him in his driveway near the garage with Austin Harrouff on top of him. Witnesses said Austin was growling like a dog and biting John Stevens' exposed cheek. Yeah, you guys heard it. This is where we're going. This is where we're going, guys. Now, remember, the neighbors loved John and Michelle. I mean, look at them. What a beautiful, look at her blue eye. Oh my God, look at her blue eyes.
I know. Look
Oh, wow. Those are
how.
gorgeous.
And he looks great with and without a beard because normally I either like people with or without.
Mhm.
He looks good both ways.
Oh, they're such a beautiful couple.
They
Oh,
look
God,
like
the
genuine
story
smiles
sucks.
too.
Oh, the story sucks so much. Okay. All right. Yes, the beautiful couple. So anyway, the neighbors loved John and Michelle. So when their neighbor, Jeff Fisher, heard Michelle's screams, he came running. Fisher witnessed the attack, saying, I saw him hitting her and her falling to the ground and continued to hit her on the way down. And Fisher fought with Austin until he realized he was badly bleeding. Austin told him, You don't want to be a part of this. Ooh. Fisher managed to run around the house to the backyard just as law enforcement arrived. He was hospitalized for his injuries, and he told police that Austin was yelling, ah, ah, and that he just wasn't making any sense. Oh my gosh, this is horrible.
Yeah. Now, Martin County Sheriff's Deputy Wayne Trocken, said that when he pulled up to the foot of the driveway, he found oh my God, that is just so hard to look at, a 6 to 8 foot wide trail of blood that ran up the driveway to the garage. When he got past the vehicle in front of the open garage, he saw a fellow deputy, Grace, who had her service weapon drawn on 2 men on the ground. Trocan told her not to fire her weapon as he was scared she would shoot the victim.
Fair.
John Stevens was laying prone with Austin Harrouff on top of him in a grappling hold. with his legs intertwined and one arm wrapped around the man, with the other being used like a fish hook, with his finger in the victim's mouth, trying to pull his cheek apart.
Oh my God. I actually like Dr. Chris. Sorry, I can't visualize things in my head, so sometimes I have to do them. But
That
I'm
is
eating it.
horrific. Now, Austin was
He's alive?
growling. Yeah. Austin was growling like a dog and biting the man's cheek, tearing it and chewing it.
That's horrible.
In case those of you don't know, your mouth is a very strong muscle organ. I mean, you've got a lot of strength in these teeth. We
That
use
makes
them
sense.
every day. We use
That makes
them.
sense.
Now, he was nonverbal. The deputy made many attempts to separate Austin from his victim. He tased him. He kicked him many times, and he eventually sent a police dog in.
Wow.
Yeah,
In case you get the picture, he is covered in blood.
he's covered.
His shirt, everything. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay,
Juju,
sorry.
we understand it is disturbing. It is not for everybody.
It's
Come
okay,
back.
Juju.
Yeah, it's okay. It's Llama's fault. Okay. She picked the case. It's Llama's fault. Llama's
It's
fault.
okay, Juju. You are
It
forgiven. And I
is.
hope your weekend gets better, babe.
Yes. You know what? Tomorrow is going to be a great day because it is Saturday, the 14th. So it's going to be a fabulous day for everybody. I say so.
Yes.
I say so. Now, guys, Austin was mostly unfazed by all of this. It wasn't until he was kicked in the head hard enough to hit it on the driveway that he moved his arm and was able to be cuffed. Now, they
Wow.
used double cuffs due to both his size and his behavior. That is just awful. Now, the deputy reported Austin shouted, "Kill me. I'm eating people. I'm killing people. Kill me."
Okay. That's a statement.
That's a statement. And the deputy wrote it down on his report.
Unlike some other law enforcement we know in a different trial.
Unlike,
But okay.
because if it's not said, you don't write it down. But if somebody makes it up later, it's not written down. Okay.
Interesting.
Now, Michelle was found lying in the
Hold
garage.
on just a second. I'm sorry. Jay Juju, you can just pause the stream and talk just in chat if you want. If you want
Yes.
to hang out with everyone. If this is too much, seriously,
Just
click
hang
the
out.
pause button on us and you can just interact with the chat the whole time. Because I
Yes.
know you had a rough day and we'd rather you be with us than having nothing else to do. Okay? So I'm just giving you that option. We're not offended at
No,
all
not at all.
by anybody who can't handle things. But if you want to hang out and chat, just go ahead and mute us or push the pause button on us, okay?
If I had one of
I
the
won't be offended.
babies, I would hold the baby up for you, but they went back outside. Now, they found bloody scissors in the driveway outside of the garage and a
Ooh.
knife in the driveway under Stephen's arm.
Oh. Oh, goodness. This is, let me take a drink here because, oh, my goodness. Wild. Okay. So we're all wondering, how did Austin Harrouff go from making trap great again to attacking and killing a random couple? Right? We're all asking that right now. Like, WTF, what just happened?
Yeah, how did that happen?
So this is a little backstory here. So according to his parents, by the way, on that evening in August, before his encounter with Mishkan and Stevens, Austin met his father, Wade, for dinner at a local restaurant. So Austin ordered a glass of tea, then went to the bathroom and did not return. Austin's mother, Mina, called Wade to let him know that Austin had walked to her house from the restaurant, which was about 2 miles away. So not really that big of a deal, but still a walk. Oh, I've walked a mile and I'm like, ugh, gross. I'm good. No, thank you. Don't want to do that again. And he's a fitness buff, so it's probably not weird for him to walk.
Not at all.
Not at all. For me, it's a treachery, and you will hear about it for 5 days if I walk a mile. Literally, everyone will hear about it, maybe for a month.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I don't like it. I don't like it. So, what was weird though was that Austin had grabbed a bottle of cooking oil and told her he was going to drink it. And so his mom took it away from him, and she then found him eating a bowl of cooking oil and cheese. Yeah,
Um, we're talking like Wesson oil, Crisco oil mixed with cheese, and he was
I don't
eating it?
know. I don't know if it was olive oil, vegetable oil. I don't know. And listen, I may partake in some evening activities that might sometimes make me hungrier than normal. And not once have I ever been like, yeah, I want cooking oil and cheese. I've stood literally in front of my refrigerator, eating out of a bag of cheese and
Oh,
just putting it in my bag. Who hasn't, right?
I have
Would you
fried
say you
cheese
have it?
sticks right here, and I keep stealing little parts and
Yeah.
putting them in my mouth.
Yeah, but this is cooking oil and cheese. So,
I mean,
ooh.
I just wanna know what would happen if you
Wesson, okay.
drank Wesson oil? What Okay. I
Mm-hmm.
do not wanna know what it would do to your insides. Let's just go back.
Now you're going to poop real quick. That's all I'm saying. I don't think that's necessarily it. But anyway, I don't know if it was that or not, but that's weird. Okay. It's weird. We all agree that
Mhm.
oil and cheese is weird. Okay. So after that, Austin had been taken to the hospital and placed in ICU with an inflamed esophagus and stomach, which
Sorry.
caused Wade to think that Austin had been poisoned.
I apologize. I
No,
was
you're okay.
laughing at the comment that it was Velveeta.
I mean, it kind of seems like it, right? Oh, look at that. Okay. I'm by the way, Kevin, I'm glad you got a lot out of that journal entries. I love that.
Yeah.
Anyway, so Wade said that after that Austin had been having symptoms for about 2 weeks, and he thought Austin would snap out of it. Okay. Oh boy, that's interesting. And Mina, his mother, later said that Austin claimed to have superpowers. He had moved his bed to the garage because he thought there were demons in the house. Quote, he was talking about being immortal, running lights, being in front of cars, testing his powers, saying he was half an animal, the family later said. But in case you're wondering, Austin's parents had set up an appointment for him to be evaluated. But unfortunately, the attack happened first. Mm.
They were doing the right thing and trying to get him help. They were.
Mhm.
Okay. Now, remember how we said we would be hearing Austin's side of the story? Well, we know what he thinks happened, okay? Because he sat down with Philip McGraw, PhD,
Oh,
aka Dr. Phil.
sorry.
Okay,
I do not like Dr. Bill.
I don't either. In an
Sorry.
online interview with Austin, while he was still in the hospital before being transferred to the jail, Wade was in the hospital room off camera. Now, this interview would be, it would prove to be a giant PETA for Austin later on. If you don't know what PETA is, pain in the ass. Now, Austin ran from the restaurant, okay? Everything around him was a blur. He said he was not thinking straight and felt panicky. Now, he says as he ran, he saw a dark figure, a demon like creature.
Mm,
Okay. Austin called this figure Daniel. That is a
okay.
random name.
That is
Just
a
gonna
random
say
name for a demon.
for a demon.
Okay.
So called it while I was talking to Dr. Phil. I just did a burpee. I am so sorry. Another one.
Welcome. You've been spending so much time with me.
And the fact that someone just did a screenshot, I'm gonna smack her. So, it is unclear why he chose the name Daniel, but as he ran past the dark figure, it spoke to him.
Mm,
"Hey, Austin."
mm.
Austin said this terrified him. "Yeah, that would kind of freak me out."
Yeah.
Okay.
Psychosis is real and it's
It is.
terrifying.
Yeah. Now, he said, "I got scared out of my mind." He had thought, "I need to find someone to help me to figure out where I am. I don't even remember what I said to myself. I just remember being afraid and scared," he
Mm.
told Dr. Phil. Now, he ran from Daniel and came upon Mishkan in her open garage. He doesn't remember how he came face to face with her in the couple's garage, but he said she screamed, and then it's all a blur. He said, "I don't remember what she said. I just remember being yelled at."
Mm.
Austin said he grabbed a machete he found in their garage.
Oh boy.
Yeah. Now, when Dr. Phil asked him why he killed them, Austin said, "I don't remember why. It's like it happened, but I wasn't aware of it at the time. I don't know. I don't know. If I knew, I would tell you." He cried often in the video interview.
Mm.
Now, guys, it should be noted that a machete isn't mentioned by law enforcement or
Mm-mm.
in any evidence photos, but guys, it could be what his mind envisioned.
That's
Okay.
true.
A knife, scissors, and a screwdriver were found at the scene. When your mind is doing that kind of stuff, a pencil can look like a machete.
Well, and I just also want to note in this picture here, they're showing a knife, scissors, and a wine opener corkscrew.
Uh huh.
Speaking of our show, and
Yeah.
I'm also wondering if maybe the investigators called this a screwdriver as opposed to a wine
Corkscrew.
opener. If you see the picture, uh, the blood material, blood-ish looking material, it is far up that fork. I don't know. I don't know how you would use that. And to be honest,
I
I don't
do.
need a description.
I do.
I'm good.
I do. No, I
Mm,
don't need that. Yeah,
no,
I can
no.
visualize that. If
Okay.
you go back early on when True Crime and Wine Time was just a pod, when it was
Mhm.
just me and I had a guest on, we covered a case about a guy who took one of those and used it on his partner
Oh my
in the male
goodness.
membrane. They
Oh,
can do a lot of damage. So, yeah, but I found it interesting that they called it a screwdriver.
I mean, maybe there was a screwdriver too. We don't. By the way, there could have been one. We don't know. I was just wondering if it could be correlated.
Yeah,
Maybe the person wasn't a drinker at all. The
yeah.
investigator and was like, oh, called it
It just
something,
looked like a screwdriver, a
but maybe there was
fancy
also a
screwdriver.
screwdriver too.
Yeah.
I
So,
don't know.
now Austin also said he drank
But
something
nice.
in the garage after the attack. When Dr. Phil asked Austin what he drank, Austin refused to say, but it severely burned his esophagus.
Which
Now,
I would think has to be like some sort of chemical for
yes.
sure. Like,
Oh, yeah. It could have been
yes,
turpentine. I mean, there are so many. I won't even start thinking about what's in
something
our
in a
garage.
garage. Hmm.
Now, why wouldn't he say, guys? Because he was probably told by his father or an attorney not to at this time.
Well,
Okay.
I think an attorney would be like, don't freaking go on Dr. Phil.
I mean, because
Okay.
he still hadn't been charged with the murders yet.
I don't think it was antifreeze. Just
Antifreeze is
because
sweet, doesn't burn.
it's
I've
Spain
drank
doesn't
it
burn.
before.
But okay, well, that's a whole different topic that we'll get into later. Okay, that's a story. Um, but from the gathering of researching this, I don't think it was quite determined. And antifreeze has been so used in murders, that it like crystallizes
It
in your
crystallized.
organs and
And
things
let
like.
me
I
just
don't think it was
clarify,
antifreeze.
when I say I drank it, I stuck my finger in it and tasted it
That's
because I
a
wanted
lot
to see
better.
how sweet it was. It is sweet, syrupy sweet. It kind of reminded me of Karo syrup, the flavor, that
Oh
intense
wow.
sweetness.
I mean, it could be. Let's put it this way: it could have been. We don't know. I'll
No,
be honest
it
with you guys.
wasn't
We do
ethylene
not
glycol.
know at all what he drank. It has not come
Right,
out what he drank, what the
right.
doctors thought he drank. None of that.
But we
So.
also have to remember that Austin just didn't remember, or he didn't want to admit to what it was, okay? But this comment also creates a timeline question that has me a little confused, okay? Because I want to know, when did he drink this exactly?
Mhm.
Because I want to know, was it before the attacks? Did maybe Michelle find him drinking it and it's what started the attack?
Could be.
Or was it after the attack
Mhm.
of, Michelle and Fisher? Because when he was found, he was still attacking Stevens.
Yeah, I don't
So
think it could have been after. I think it had to have either been before. I think the idea that Michelle found him out there and
I
spooked him and startled him,
yeah,
I think that's a really good. Again, it's all speculation, folks. We do not know, and you'll see why we don't know later.
yeah,
But
yeah.
I think that's a fair, hypothesis.
I mean, if y'all want me to try some paint thinner, I'm willing to put my finger in it and taste it after I've had some tequila.
No, Teri, no. This is why you have me around to be like, no, Teri, that's a bad idea. Don't do it. No.
Fine,
And look,
mom.
Amos, producer, you all can't see her, but she's in the background running the show, and she's like,
It
mm-mm-mm,
looks like Cap'n drank it.
mm-mm-mm,
In the chat, it looks like
mm-mm-mm.
Cap'n drank paint thinner.
Okay, we're not,
But
do
when I
not,
grow
if
up,
you are
I wanna be like
listening,
Cap'n.
please do not
Do
drink
not
things
drink.
that are not meant for human
No,
consumption.
don't.
Don't
Don't.
do that. Don't even put your finger in it, Terry. No, don't do it.
What about a Q-tip?
No. No.
Okay. Okay, we'll just keep going then. And Lady in Gray, I you told me not to sample everything. You just totally screwed the pooch, sweetie.
No boy.
Because you
Ohio's
just
gonna
told
be
me not to, so I have to now.
all right. Well, let's get back to this. AP, our producer Amos put up, do not drink things that are not made for human consumption on the banner. Yes, don't do that. There's enough studies around. You don't need to try it out. You are
Okay.
not going to be the first person. It's like, oh, this is bad. No, they already tried it out before they sent it to you.
Then I won't try
So,
it.
okay. So back to the story, folks. We do not endorse drinking
Okay,
any of
guys,
this.
y'all are saying drinking. I did not take a drink. Tasting and drinking are two different things. Let's be clear.
The
I
answer to
did
both is
not
no.
swallow anything. I
The answer
just
to both
took
is no.
and taste. Let's just move on.
Oh, Terry, I love you so much. You're fantastic and wonderful. Never change. I appreciate that about you. All right. So back to the story. So Austin said he doesn't remember attacking the neighbor at all, despite the fact that he severely wounded Fisher, who was the neighbor, in case you forgot, who was hospitalized with stab wounds after the attack. Now, the line of questioning then turned to drug use. Now, Austin denied ever having used Flocka or bath salts or knowing people who did. But remember, Austin's dad is in the room with him. Now, if you don't know what Flocka or bath salts is, they are synthetic drugs that are around. I'm not going to go into too much what
Okay.
they are, but
Okay. Wait a minute.
mm,
So bath salts? That's bath salts like what I take a bath in.
no, they're not the same. No, for
So
the love of
that
God,
is
no,
not the so this
no,
whole time of researching this case, I
yeah,
literally thought the dude got his
no.
mom's bath salt. So this is a true drug.
Yes, those are very different. It is not actual bath salts that are Epsom salt that you use in
Oh.
your bath. No, that's just the street name, if you will. I don't know what the technical scientific name is, to be honest. I probably couldn't even pronounce it. but they
Oh,
are very, very different things. Very different
I
things. Okay. You cannot get high on your mom's back. You are so pretty,
that just
Terry.
tells you
No, I'm just kidding.
I didn't do enough drugs.
No, Terry, honestly, I've never done
And
these
it
drugs.
looks like a bath salt
Yes.
bottle.
And Terry, I'm not going to give you a hard time because a lot of people think that. And I get it. I get why that's your first go to because I don't believe the media has really explained it a lot and
They
very
haven't.
well for a reason. I think it's to not draw people to this. I do know people that have done them. I'm not going to share those stories on air, but let's just say they were kind of similar to some of the things they've heard here, but we're not done yet. This episode is not sponsored by Dr. Teal.
But if
No,
they
those
want to
bathrooms,
sponsor us, they can.
they
I
can.
use
Yes,
them
that's
every
true.
night.
Yes, those are two very different things, you guys. Okay. So we look at that. We're learning all sorts of
So
stuff tonight.
now I'm really confused about some other stuff we're gonna get to.
Well,
So
that's
I'm
okay.
gonna have some
That's
questions.
we're all learning together. And I'm not going to say I'm an expert on any of this. I've never done any of this stuff. So I don't know, only what I've heard and read. But anyway. All right. So remember, Austin's dad's in the room and they're talking about drugs. And he's like, no, I never did any of this stuff. Right. So Austin then sobbed as he expressed guilt for his actions. This is with the Dr. Phil episode, in case y'all forgot. And we got distracted a few times. That's my monologue there. So Austin sobbed as he expressed guilt for his actions and confusion as to why he did them. He sobbed as he said, I'm sorry for their loss. Never wanted this to happen. It's like a nightmare. And Dr. Phil said that he was actively working with Wade, his father, to get Austin mental health care. He suggested that Austin had been losing touch with reality, and not only had Austin been paranoid, he also seemed to think he had superpowers. This is very strong signs of psychosis. Whether it's drug-induced psychosis, mental ill psychosis, it doesn't fucking matter.
Maybe
It's happening.
Self-medicating because of
It's
that
happening.
psychosis.
Could be. Either way, it's happening. It doesn't matter if drugs caused it or mental illness caused it. In my book, it's literally the same experience.
It is.
And I don't know if one is more scary I'm thinking if it's mental illness, that's probably more scarier than the drugs, right? Because you're like,
Right.
I took the drugs, so this isn't normal. Where if it's a
Right.
mental illness,
You
you
don't
don't
know
even know that it's not normal. I mean, maybe few people to a few degree, but like either way, that's not normal. So anyway, so he's being paranoid and he seemed to think he had superpowers. And Dr. Phil said, this isn't something that just happened that night. This has been going on for a period of time. And Austin replied, I guess, which I agree with people that are having acute psychotic episodes. This is not just it happened for an hour, it's done and over with. No, mental illnesses build over time.
Mm-hmm.
Almost always for most of them. And he had been showing signs, according to his parents, that something was very, very wrong. So Austin then told Dr. Phil that he would get treatment if the court ordered it. Yeah, buddy, they're going to order it. Okay. You should already be doing this at this point, but okay. I mean, even if it wasn't for his own mental illness, the fact that two people just died because of you, I think warrants therapy. I
agree.
don't think this is up for debate, is all I'm saying. Whether it was an accident, a mess, whatever.
Right.
This is not good for you. So Dr. Phil then said, this doesn't mean we are trivializing what happened to the people who got caught up in this, but by the same token, we don't want to throw your life away. Oh, I should have used my Dr. Phil accent, which is not good and probably insulting to you as a Texan. So I'm not going to do that now.
Feel free to bash that man any way you would like. And I've met him.
I do not like him.
I have met him.
So what I find interesting about that is we're not going to trivialize what happened to those people. This guy, I have a funny story, but I got to save that for when we're not on air. So what's interesting is that the use of the phrase, the people who got caught up in this seems to be a little trivializing about what happened to them. And the people were attacked. 2 of them were murdered.
Mhm.
And that is not simply caught up in something. They didn't ask. Hell, they didn't even invite Austin to their house. They didn't even know who this
Mm-mm.
person was. In case you're wondering, they had no idea who
Right.
Austin Harrouff even was. So maybe that's not the good word choice, but would you expect any less from Dr. Phil? I would not. I would not. No, no,
Now, do you wanna know some stuff about Dr. Phil?
absolutely.
Did you know that his psychology license expired in 2006 in
Hmm.
Texas,
I
and
do know
he
that.
never got a license in California
Hmm.
where his show was produced.
That's
So
right.
please tell me how he is involved, why he is giving advice as a therapist, as a medical professional for mental health to
Hmm.
somebody when he doesn't have a license. You are a TV personality.
Exactly. You know who else is like that? Dr. Oz, but we won't get into that.
We
But
won't go there.
that is one of my biggest issues with Dr. Phil is he knows. He knows what he's doing is not okay ethically. He doesn't have a medical license for a reason, you guys. And it's because what he's doing would most likely, and I don't know for this for sure, but some people in our staff do this for a living, right? And
Right.
I'm pretty sure they'd be like, yeah, he's not a doctor, right?
He's
Like,
not.
this
And I
isn't
mean,
great.
the thing that bothers me about it, he could harm this person.
Exactly. It's
He could
irresponsible.
he could cause this person to do more damage
Hmm.
to others and themselves. So it's just
Hmm.
it's wrong. It would be like me trying to practice being a psychologist.
Hmm.
It would be unethical, unresponsible, and I personally think it's criminal, but that's just me.
I agree. There's also I have strong opinions about Nancy Grace, but we won't get into her.
We won't start with that
Mm-mm,
either.
mm-mm. But I mean, yeah. Anyway, you guys. So Austin was hospitalized for nearly 7 weeks due to the injuries in his esophagus and stomach before being transferred to jail. I find that fascinating. I desperately want to know what he took
Yeah.
or drank. I really, really do, but I don't think we have been able to uncover what that is. I'm sorry. I have a fan going. That's why I have Marilyn Monroe hair over here. But
Oh,
I have this hair that like won't, it just keeps going in my eye. It's not great.
I'm sorry.
So Terry, can you lead us in the next part where I remove myself just real quick?
Absolutely.
Okay, you got this.
So, now guys, by November 8th, 2016, I think, Austin was facing multiple charges of burglary, resisting an officer without violence, the attempted first-degree murder of Jeff Fisher, and both first and second-degree murder with a weapon for Michelle Michon and John Stevens. Guys, don't even get me started. You gotta remember 2 people died. Jeff Fisher has to live with the fact he saw this and experienced this, okay? Now, a docket sounding on November 23rd saw the release of thousands of investigative documents. Among them were toxology results that showed that Austin did not have any synthetic drugs in his systems that night. Although he did test positive for small traces of THC and marijuana and ethanol, which is alcohol. Now, detectives theorized that alcohol could have been consumed in the garage. Now, Austin did have a documented history of some drug use, okay? He also had purchased mushrooms a few days prior to the incident. However, the state sent evidence specimens to 2 different drug testing facilities on 3 different occasions, only to have negative results tendered each time. Okay, guys, when I told you my research, I'm now confused because I really thought that's why they didn't find drugs because it was bath salts. And I was going to ask the question, is it okay for me to soak in my bath salts or am I going to have my body absorb it? And now to find out it was drugs, not bath salt. It's okay. Now, Attorney Robert Watson filed a not guilty plea for Austin's 2 first-degree murder charges and attempted murder charge. Now, months later, the defense filed a motion to restrict access to discovery material and to determine confidentiality of court records. Okay. The defense argued that the material in question caused considerable international, national, state, and local publicity in this case, which has been misleading and highly prejudicial to the defendant, including but not limited to references of the defendant as a cannibal and the frat boy cannibal killer. Guys, it's what I thought until researching this. So you tend to believe those things. Now, the defense argued the public access to this material would significantly affect and impair the defendant's right to a fair trial. And yes, guys, this discovery material is the Dr. Phil interview.
Surprise.
I mean,
Everybody.
it now becomes the giant PETA. Okay. It just. Now, on February 9th, 2017, Scripps Media, which is owner of WPTV, asked the court for access to certain documents and interviews in Austin's case. They argued that the defense had not met the legal requirements to keep those materials private, which are meant to protect the defendant's right, but only in specific and serious situations. Okay, also, it's not doctor-client privilege because Dr. Phil is not a licensed doctor.
Oh,
Shocking, I know.
oh my gosh. Okay.
Sorry. Now, for example, when a fair trial is truly at risk and no other options except perhaps moving the trial would work, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Now, Scripps pointed out that because Austin wasn't under arrest during his interview, specifically with the Dr. Phil, it couldn't be considered a formal confession and should be made public, which, guys, is a very sound argument. Shocked Pikachu.
That's my favorite.
Now,
okay.
A few weeks later, on February 22nd, the court agreed with Scripps. Okay. The judge ruled that the interview didn't count as a confession to murder or any other charge, and it wasn't given to the police, so it didn't need to be kept private.
Exactly.
Hello, you recorded it for public TV.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you guys, as we said in Karen Reed, do not give interviews when you have charges against you. They will and can be, or they can be and will be used against you in your Miranda rights. That's what it says, you guys.
Let's say it louder for those in the back who are not listening.
Do not give interviews when you have criminal charges against you, especially when it's murder.
Yes.
Don't do it.
Don't do it. Now, the defense argued they needed more time, saying that once the interview was released, there would be no way to undo the damage. Well, maybe he shouldn't have talked to Dr. Phil. Okay. Now, they were given a few days to file an appeal, but by that time, guys, it was too late. Because guess what, guys? The next day, on February 28th, the Sun Sentinel published the Dr. Phil interview, and other media outlets followed suit, and the interview spread like wildfire in a bad case of herpes. Okay?
Yeah, that sounds about right. Yeah.
So, I mean, just don't do it. Now, after that, the case continued to be delayed every 2 to 3 months, year after year, until, guys, 5 years and 9 months later was when a trial date was finally set in November 2022.
That is such a long time. That is
the families
wild.
Having to deal with that is insane.
Mm-hmm.
Now,
I remember when this was supposed to start, but go ahead.
Now, much of the delay came due to filings for subpoenas for witnesses, psychiatric testing from both the state and the defense. And of course, in case anybody has forgotten, we had the COVID-19 pandemic. We had the
Which
Rona.
did make things
It did.
very difficult. Very, very difficult for a lot of
It did.
cases. But also this happened a few years before then. But then when you're dealing with somebody who has mental health issues,
Right.
it's 5 years a long time. Yes, yes, it is. But it's also not as long when you put in, especially the mental health factor. Um, and then COVID on top of that made it a big problem for a lot of people. But okay. So by November 2022, the defense had announced that they be arguing that Austin Harrouff was legally insane at the time of the crime and therefore not guilty by reason of insanity. Now, before we go further in the story, I would like to talk about the insanity defense, as it's actually not something that you see that often and quite honestly is often misunderstood. So, let's talk about this just real quick before we go into what else has happened with him. All right, so Florida adheres to the Manhattan Rule, a legal standard that has been used in the United States since the 19th century. Under the Manhattan Rule, a defendant may be found not guilty by reason of insanity if, at the time of the offense, they were suffering from a severe mental disease or defect that prevented them from understanding the nature and quality of their actions, or from knowing that their actions were wrong. Now, specifically, and we're not going to get too wordy about it, just hold with me for a second. So, specifically, Florida Statute 775.027 outlines the criteria for an insanity defense. So, first, there's a severe mental disease or defect. The defendant must have been suffering from a significant mental illness or impairment at the time of the crime, and they must lack of understanding. The mental illness must have caused the defendant to either not understand what they were doing or not understand that what they were doing was wrong, right? So, like, if you're thinking this person is government and they're out to kill you and you killed them, would you have really thought that was wrong if you thought you were in harm's way, even if that's not what reality actually was? Right? So that's kind of what's going on there. And usually, what's interesting about this defense is that usually the burden of proof in a criminal case is on the state. But when it comes to using the insanity plea, the burden squarely falls on the defense. The defense has to prove that their client was legally insane, which is different than psychologically insane. These are two very different things that I think people misconstrue. So the defendant must prove their insanity by clear and convincing evidence, a standard that is more demanding than the preponderance of evidence standard used in many civil cases, but which civil cases like 51% or higher, you think this person is responsible for this. But it is less stringent than the beyond a reasonable doubt the prosecution, the state, is responsible for in a regular criminal trial. Now, the insanity defense, I know, is one of the most controversial aspects of criminal law, and its application in Florida is no exception. So there are several challenges and issues that arise when dealing with the insanity defense, and I have seen many of these in previous trials that I've watched and what people watching thought as well. So one of them is the public perception and the misconceptions of the insanity defense. So the insanity defense is often misunderstood by the public, and many people believe that it is a loophole that allows dangerous criminals to escape justice. Now, in reality, however, the insanity defense is rarely used and even more rarely successful. You have to be approved. You can't just show up to court and be like, we're doing an insanity defense, And that's what we're dealing with. That's not how that happens. You have to say, I want to do that. And the court has to kind of approve it.
Mhm.
You can't just say that.
Right.
And so the perception that defendants can easily manipulate the system by claiming insanity is not supported by statistical evidence. As a matter of fact, the insanity defense is used in less than that's right, 1% of all court cases. And when used, has only a 26% success rate. That's right, you guys. It is probably one of the hardest defenses to put on
Mhm.
ever for a defense attorney. It is not easy. It is not granted right away. You can't, like, when this is brought to the table, it's for a good reason, and they have to have stuff to back it up, which they
And
don't in this case.
I don't have the statistics, but I believe while doing Dearest Mothers, I had read something that most successful insanity pleas have to do with women who kill their children,
That is
postpartum,
true.
things like that. There was a statistic on one of them, and I just got goosebumps all again. But
Mhm.
yeah.
The fact that, no spoilers here, but yes, you are correct, Teri. The majority of successful cases are, in fact, women over men.
Hmm.
So then we go into proving insanity, meeting the burden of proof for insanity and actually convincing a jury to go along with it is notoriously difficult. Like, oh boy, you are
Everybody's
climbing Mount
skeptical.
Everest. Everyone's skeptical of an insanity,
Hmm.
as I understand. I understand. I think we're getting a little bit better as a society the more we know about certain
Hmm.
things, particularly postpartum psychosis.
Hmm.
But I understand it's hard for a lot of people to even wrap their minds. Could you imagine trying to think? I mean, I can speak from personal experience, but just imagine your brain turns against you. How
Well,
are you, as a person who's never experienced, to comprehend
and
such wildness?
so many people think you shouldn't talk about it and that it should be a dark, dirty secret.
Mhm,
So we don't I think we're getting better about talking about mental health and things
mhm,
like that. But you're right. Your brain turns against you.
mhm.
How do you explain
I
that to
mean,
somebody who has never had a clue or known
mhm.
somebody?
I think it's interesting, and this is a point I bring up some other times in some of my other shows, is that I'm pretty sure everyone that is watching right now, if asked if you got Alzheimer's or dementia, would that be the worst thing that happened to you? And I think all of us have that fear of getting it right. Like,
Oh, yeah.
oh my gosh, that would be, I can't imagine losing my mind and who I am and forgetting everything. Well, guess what, guys?
It can be
There are several mental illnesses that happen exactly like that. And I do think for some of them, we should have some more compassion like we do with people. It's Alzheimer's. It is a brain disease, but I'm going to step off my soapbox. I'm just going to
I
put that thought out
agree
there.
with you 100%.
But it's a hard thing for regular
It
people to
is.
wrap their head around. It's terrifying.
It is
Terrifying.
until it happens to them. It's one of those things until they know someone or have a loved
Mhm.
one or it happens to them. It's hard to put yourself in those shoes.
It
So I
is.
also have some
Mhm.
compassion for them because they're like, "I just can't imagine that."
For
And
sure.
it's because you've never had to be in that, and I am so grateful that you never have. I'm almost
Yeah,
grateful that they didn't.
for
So,
sure. So, for example, okay, the rule focuses on cognitive awareness, the understanding from right from wrong, but does not adequately consider other factors such as the defendant's ability to control their actions due to compulsion or delusion, right? Kind of tiptoed on the delusion a little bit earlier
mhm,
with, like, if you think this is a government person coming to kill you, that's delusion. To you, you may feel justified for killing that person because you think they're out to
right.
harm you and kill you. It's a delusion, though, right? So then there's also the post trial consequences. So if a defendant is found not guilty by reason of insanity, they are typically committed to a state mental institution. However, There is often public concern about how long such individuals remain in treatment and when they may be released. And the decision to release a person who has been committed after an insanity defense can be contentious, particularly if there's a concern about the individual's potential danger to society. And I think that's where a lot of us are like, okay, where do we go from here? And I know lots of cases, and I'm not going to bring them all up. Andrea Yates is one. There's also a Canadian case of this guy. I don't remember his name, but there's a lot. And that is something that we as a society, even legal, there's a lot of things we need to work out here, you know. But anyway, I wanted to share that all with you. Now, with that, let's get back to the story, shall we?
Now, on November 5th, 2022, the prosecution filed the last request to delay the trial, which, guys, is interesting. But the judge denied it. See, the prosecution had recently denied a different request. They wanted to replace their expert witness after learning about the defense's insanity strategy.
That's not great.
Yeah. Now, the expert the prosecution planned to use claimed he was too ill to participate and said he had to drop out of 25 other cases. However, guys, during an in-camera interview, which is a private interview with the judge, he refused to share any details about his illness. Despite saying he was too sick for some cases, he admitted he was working on others.
That makes sense. That's weird, right?
Bias, maybe, and only wants to work on the cases that
he feels good about his opinion on. I kind of got that vibe, but we don't know. We don't know. You know.
Now, the expert was a second opinion for the state and was expected to testify that Austin did not have a psychotic break, but was likely on drugs or going through withdrawals when the attacks happened. Okay. Now, because the expert wouldn't give the judge enough information to prove he truly couldn't testify, the court denied the state's request to replace him. I mean,
that's interesting.
If you're not going to give all the facts, what other decision are you leaving the judge?
That is interesting. I don't disagree with the judge on that.
I don't either. At all. So the judge also pointed out that the state knew of the expert's health issues since they hired him in 2019.
Oh, yeah.
So this wasn't a new problem.
Uh-oh. Ruh-roh. Uh-oh.
We don't do math here, but I can do 1, 2, 3. Okay. Now, on November 28th, 2022, right before the trial was to begin, a plea deal, oh my gosh, a plea deal was struck between the two sides, and the judge accepted Austin's plea of not guilty by reason of insanity for both the murders of John Stevens and Michelle Mishcon, and attempted murder of Jeff Fisher and burglary. Yes.
May I just real quickly, I didn't make a note here. But for those who have been watching, you know, Karen Reed and whatnot, the fact that the prosecution was willing to do a plea deal for insanity as the defense is literally telling you all you need to know.
It is.
Because believe me, they want the first degree murder, the second degree. They want that. The fact that they immediately was like, okay, here's a plea deal. We'll sign. That is telling you, honestly and truthfully, that whatever was happening with Austin Harrouff was enough that they knew that they would tremendously lose a case. Because again, remember, we talked about how hard it is to defend that sort of thing.
There was enough there.
Jury. Exactly. There was enough there that the prosecution was scared they were going to lose their case. That is saying a lot.
It is.
A lot.
It is. Now, as a result of this plea, Austin Kelly Harrouff remained in the Martin County Jail until he was taken to a secure mental health facility monitored by the Florida Department of Children and Families, and that he would not be allowed to leave the facility without a court order. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Cindy Mishcon, sister to Michelle, read her impact statement in court. She read numerous bizarre conversations Austin had left via text messages leading up to the killings. And this is all quotes, guys. Your dad asked you on the afternoon before you killed my sister, did you throw the drugs out? Did you throw the drugs out? You didn't answer yes. Do you know what you said to him? Learn.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, what does that mean? Are you ever going to tell us what that means? But here we are, opening the prison doors for a double murderer. 4 words come to mind: white, rich boy justice. Yeah. So Jody Bruce, sister to Michelle, brought up extensive text messages that Austin allegedly sent to his friends before the crimes that documented his extreme drug use leading up to the attacks. She was outright outraged by the judge's ruling. I don't really know how you could brutally murder 2 people, attempt to kill another, and not even have a trial. This was news to me. So, as you can probably guess from that, the family was not happy that there was a plea deal and that they didn't get to go to trial. And I have to say, I would probably feel the same way. And I think when you're caught up in all of those emotions and grief and everything you've gone through in all this time, I could see you feeling like you didn't get your day in court and your chance to say. So
For
I
sure.
totally understand all of that.
I can't imagine as a family member, and I certainly am not judging them at all. I understand wanting justice and closure, and this
Mhm.
is hard,
It's
very
hard.
hard to wrap your mind again. And I get it. I do. I get their frustrations, the feeling like justice isn't being done. And we'll talk about that a little bit later. But my sympathies for sure
Mhm.
go out to the families of both Michelle and John. So, with that, defense attorney Nellie L. King said after the hearing that although the result of the case fails to bring comfort to the families of the victim, this finding brings this matter to its right and lawful end. All right, 2 experts, one for the defense and one for the state, determined Austin was experiencing a psychotic break at the time of the homicides and lacked the intent necessary to be criminally responsible for his conduct. And I know some of you are like, oh, he could be faking it and saying he heard voices and all that. But the interesting thing is that when people fake it, they actually get the process wrong.
Right. He chewed
Yeah.
somebody's face off, guys. Let's just think about that.
Yeah.
That's yeah.
Um, so here we go. So Austin will remain in a mental health facility until medical professionals determine he is not a risk to return to society, but but he can only be released with a court order. That's right, the doctors and a judge.
Mhm.
It will be talked about. You can't just walk out
Right.
on your own. It's a whole to do. It's a whole thing. The family has to be notified. Everything happens. Okay.
Mhm.
This is not, oh, you're good. Here you go. You're discharged. That's not how
I've heard
it works.
sometimes that's more in depth than a trial because
Absolutely.
they get into all of it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, let's see, where were we? So he'll be asked to do that per the plea agreement. Now, Craig Trocino, oh, sorry if I didn't do you justice there, Craig. I apologize. A University of Miami law professor said that finding Harrouff not guilty by reason of insanity would effectively be a life sentence because it's highly unlikely that they would risk releasing a killer as notorious as Harrouff. Which wasn't the same thing said about John Hinckley Jr., notwithstanding that President Reagan survived. That's who had tried to assassinate him. And, well, we don't know this for a fact, but Andrea Yates, who is somebody I feel very passionate about with her case. I feel very passionate about it. Teri knows because she covered her, and I was like,
Uh-huh.
no, let me tell you everything I know about Andrea Yates. She has never tried to get out, but
And
she
she
has
never
been
will.
eligible. And I'll be honest, had she tried to get out, I do think she would be approved. I really, really do. But she wants to stay where she feels safe and isn't harmed because of what happened. You don't know who Andrea Yates is.
Yes.
She drowned her 5 children in a bathtub, and it is not whatever you think you know about that case. It is not like that. Okay?
And
I
it
know.
tells me that the mental help she's getting is working
Yes.
because she's taking accountability and she is saying, I do not know without this structure
Yes.
in this place that I'm in that I wouldn't hurt someone else.
Yes.
That tells me it's working.
And it's hard. It's hard to say, you know what, this is a child killer and I have empathy with them and all of that. It's very hard to get your mind across that threshold, right?
I
But
still say
anyway,
her husband, Rusty, should have been charged with something, but we won't get into that.
I am a great girl. By the way, if you guys want to hear about more Andrea Yates, Teri did a show called Dearest Mothers, and that's a doozy. So if you need something to watch this weekend, go check it out on our channel, True Crime and Wine Time. Now, so Judge Sherwood Bauer in court defended the defense team, prosecutors, and the expert witnesses from criticism voiced in court. He said, oh, what did I do here? I pressed the button and everything disappeared. Oh, we're fine. We're fine. Sorry, guys. So he said, it's a sad case. It's an awful case, he said, adding that no one is losing sight of the death and injuries in this case. And then prosecutor Brandon White is sympathetic to the families. If we need to be the punching bag, that's fine. He said the prosecutors did everything possible to prove the case, but the facts were not there. Quote, what they are really angry about is the law, end quote. He said he wasn't happy with the result either, but he said the prosecutor's office does not create the facts and we don't create the law, which is also true. It's also true. But remember, they got all sorts of it. They got digital evidence. They got all this stuff.
But wait a minute.
Just keep that in mind.
Could someone please call the Commonwealth and tell them that they're not supposed to create facts and ignore the law? Could please somebody call them and tell them for me?
Yeah, I know this is a hard case for a lot of people.
It is.
But I do respect the prosecution for making the statement they did. It is rare.
He didn't get a guilty verdict, but it is, in a sense, still a life sentence. He's not on the street. He's not going to hurt someone else.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Mm-hmm. Now, White wants to try to find something positive out of something so horrific. He planned to look at 2 specific laws in Florida in light of the verdict. First, he planned to research the few states that allow a guilty but insane conviction. Now, in Florida, White said only a not guilty by reason of insanity conviction is handed down. He said this is, in effect, gets the defendant off completely, which I would argue, once again,
I would.
You're spending time. People have to approve your mental well-being. The judge has to, or the courts have to prove it. I don't actually see that. Like, you could be sentenced to 5 years and it could take you 15 because mental illness is no joke. It's not steady all the time. You could be serving even more time.
Yep.
In that sort of place. But I understand. Quote, anytime we have a not guilty by reason of insanity, basically, we are surrendering the outcome to a bunch of paid experts. And psychology is not a hard science. I would say you could probably find a psychologist to say whatever you want them to say, end quote. And I do kind of agree with the prosecution a little bit here. I do. I do. But let's not pretend that this is some sort of defense that happens all of the time. And we know for a fact that is not true.
Right.
But I have seen some psychology experts that have been like, girl, what? Get out of here.
Like Dr. Phil.
Like Dr. freaking Phil, who we should just call Phil because he's not a freaking doctor. I mean, maybe he has his doctorate.
He has his PhD, so he has his doctorate, but he's
not medical doctor.
He is not licensed to practice psychology.
No. Now, White also wanted to see the state expand upon its definition of voluntary intoxication, which I have an opinion about this in just a second. This only takes into account the actions someone takes while actively intoxicated, not the actions they might take while experiencing psychological impacts from withdrawal or long-term drug abuse. Austin had a known and documented drug habit, but toxicology tests, the ones that they used, did not pick up any synthetic drugs in the system at the time of the crime. And just real quick, this is where I think a lot of the conversation needs to happen. Listen, in my years of looking into true crime, which has been a long, many of decades, the worst crimes, some of the worst I've ever read was from people on methamphetamine.
Mm-hmm.
The most horrific, disturbing cases I've ever heard of comes from people being under the influence of drugs. And I don't know if now's the time to have that conversation, but I certainly think that's something that we really need to consider. But also remember, drug addiction is a mental illness as well. Substance abuse, alcohol abuse is as well. But I think we really need to look more into this as a society.
Agreed.
Overall. Now, our researchers searched for the charges to Florida insanity laws since this case. And the only thing that they could find was an update to the Baker standard. Many of you have heard the Baker Act, right? Which gives law enforcement more discretion to ask for one. Oh, we got lost there. Right? That's about being committed involuntarily for mental health treatment. That's the Baker Act. Some of you that watch trials with us are very familiar with that. So that is where we leave at this story. And with that, let's get into our closing thoughts. What do you guys think about that? By the way, just before I go into closing thoughts, I just want everyone to know that I am very much an advocate of mental health. I have my own struggles, and it means a lot to me to break the stigma, to bring awareness to these sorts of things. I want you to know that the reason I chose this case is because of the mental health aspect to it. It really was. It was not the cannibalism eating the cheek. It wasn't. That gets the headlines.
Right. It's about why did that happen?
Why did that happen?
What was that factor that did it? It's not like he was just a bad kid. He didn't wake up one day and just decide to do this. Whether it was drugs, mental illness. I mean, he was suffering through something.
Whatever his reality was, clearly wasn't actual reality.
Right.
Whether it's drug induced or mental illness, either way, it's very scary for him and for anyone in his path. Believe you me, I am not. Hi, Justine. Hi. I am not condoning what Austin Harrouff did. That is not my stance. What happened was horrific to Michelle and John. Okay. But cases like these need to make us think a little bit.
They do.
More. Because this isn't the first time. It won't be the last time that this happens to people. Anyway, that's very so I just want to preface tonight. I know we had fun, but I did at the end, because I didn't want to do spoilers of why I chose this case specifically. Oh, Dave. Hi.
Dave.
He says he has a million things to do, but I just came across this. Have a wonderful weekend. Nice people. Thank you, Dave. Dave is one of our Couch Grow with Llama watchers, but we will get into that let's do our closing thoughts for a quick second, shall
I
we,
just
Teri?
want to say that Sammy Sunshine is right. A lot of mental disorders in males show up early
Mhm.
mid-20s to early 30s. I mean, it truly is. I have known some that they are perfectly fine, and just one day, something changes.
It's scary.
It is
It's
scary
so scary
'cause you
to think
don't
about.
know. It's like a
You
little
don't know.
time bomb inside of you that you don't
It is.
it's kinda like a
It is.
kidney stone, but a kidney stone's much easier, but yeah, you just don't know when it's gonna drop.
Right?
Yeah,
All right,
let's get
let's do
into
our
our
closing
closing
thoughts on
thoughts.
this. All right, so tonight we remember John Stevens and Michelle Miscone, not as victims of a sensational case, but as people who loved and were loved. Look at them. What a beautiful, beautiful couple. They really are. Their lives very much mattered. And let's not forget Jeff Fisher, okay, who
Right.
almost lost his life trying to help his neighbors. Okay. I can't imagine the trauma he goes through every single day. To have been stabbed so many times, to have tried to help survivor's guilt, all that
Right.
stuff that can happen. Nothing was Jeff's fault. He did his best. And while justice may look different through the lens of insanity, and I understand for some people it's a no, it's a hard no for them. But
Mhm.
let us never lose sight of the lives that are lost. I know I haven't.
Mm-mm.
Let's not lose sight of the people's lives that were lost, the people grieving, and the questions we must keep asking about mental health, about warning signs, and about how we care for one another in a world where tragedy, unfortunately, can arrive in the most unexpected ways. Rest in peace, Michelle and John. I hope you guys are in love in a much better place than the place where you left.
Yes. Now, this case to me sadly reminds us that sometimes the horrors that we think of are not just from monsters. You know, it could be from someone we least expected who thinks a young man, excuse me, boy of this age would have this kind of mental breakdown or situation happen. No one is thinking of that. And you don't expect someone to just unravel and attack like Austin did. Two innocent lives, John and Michelle, were brutally stolen
Mm.
in an act that I still have trouble wrapping my head around. Okay. Their families are never going to be the same. Guys, we also have to think of Jeff Fisher. He will
Mhm.
never be the same. Okay. And we also have to remember the court ruled Austin not guilty by reason of insanity. There honestly, I don't think would be any verdict that could have made sense of this tragedy.
That's true.
And it needs to make us question more about mental health, drug induced mental health, psychosis, all of these things. And what would and should justice look like for these individuals? We shouldn't
Mhm.
just lock them up, and throw away the key. We need to help them too.
Agreed.
We need to help them. But most importantly, guys, we need to figure out how to keep this from happening again. The drugs are out there. We need to figure out what to do. Now, I personally hope that Austin is getting the help he desperately needs and that all of the families are getting the help they need. Because if you think about Austin's parents, here they had made an appointment to try to get him help, and it
Mhm.
wasn't soon enough. And the guilt they probably feel. But I want them to know you got an appointment. You were trying. You weren't putting your hand in the sand, ignoring your son and just saying, oh, he'll grow out of it.
Yeah.
You know, you were trying.
You knew something was bad enough
Mhm.
because I don't think that's an easy spot for any
It's
parent to be
it's not
in.
because what if you're wrong? Then your kid's gonna be mad at you because you did this. Trust me,
Mhm.
I know, I've lived it, I've done it with
Mhm.
my older one. So, yeah, but
Agreed.
now, before we go, if you like what you heard tonight, please be sure to follow all of our socials and subscribe to our YouTube channel. It's free, okay? Or if you're listening to our pod, please download the pod, give us a rating. a review, it helps people find us. And all of that helps all of these different algorithm gods that are out there that we know. I do not math. I do not understand algorithm gods. I just know they're out there, and you doing those things make him work.
That's
Okay?
true.
Makes him work. Now, next week, guys, on True Crime and Wine Time, we are going to have a special guest on the show. We have someone who is going to talk in depth with us about the Michaela Tyler murder from Sweeney,
Mm,
Texas. It's a big deal, and we have someone close to the family who's going to talk with us about what happened, how law enforcement has failed them,
mhm.
and how justice right now may not happen for them.
Oh, it's going to be a very interesting
And it
interview. I am
oh,
very looking forward to it.
there's not gonna be all of the graphic stuff and things like that that we've showed tonight. But it's gonna I'm gonna say, don't bring snacks, bring tissues,
Mm.
just because we're gonna feel how it has personally impacted these individuals.
Right. And we love telling, interviewing families and telling their stories of
We do.
victims, whether it's here, of victims who we know have passed from tragic circumstances, or if it's victims that are missing.
Mhm.
Teri does a great job with that. Now, if you need more of Teri and I, because we're fabulous and who doesn't want to
Who
spend all
doesn't
the
want
time
more?
with us? I still wonder why every day why I have an audience, but here we
I'm like, "Here we are, somebody
are.
wants to listen to us because
That's fine.
normally, I just talk to myself and nobody talks back to me, and that's why I have so many
Yeah.
goats now. Well, I have 3.
Yeah, right. Now, every Monday and Wednesday, Teri hosts her show, Midday Missing, where she covers missing person cases that don't seem to get a lot of attention. Maybe they're not the perfect victim for whatever reason. Maybe they're not the right color, whatever. You can also find these on anywhere you listen to podcasts, because both our
Mhm.
True Crime and Wine Time and Midday Missing are in podcast forms, specifically Midday Missing, because that really is, I think, the heart of our channel.
It is, it's
We very much care about missing people and their families. So please give that a listen. You never know. One little thing could help solve a
Yep.
whole thing. You never know. You never know. Then I have my show, Couch Court with Llama, where we just kind of wrapped up the Karen retrial. We are on verdict watch
I was
right
gonna say, we
now.
haven't wrapped up. We're
We haven't
still
wrapped
waiting
up.
on the
Today was
verdict.
closing, and right now we're on verdict watch, which will continue into next week. But while we're waiting for the jury to come back with the verdict, we are going to be watching the Lori Vallow Daybell trial that she just recently had with the attempted. Well, I think she's charged with conspiracy of murder against Brandon Boudreaux, her nephew. It just wrapped up this week, but since we were busy with Karen Reed, we're going to go ahead and watch it, and we get a zoom through all the breaks. So join us right here on True Crime and Wine Time channel at 8:30 a.m. Eastern, Monday through Friday. On most days they have to. I think there's one day where I have to change the time, but it's still 8:30 in the morning. We're there. I have so many great friends. I saw you, Couch Potatoes, who stopped in tonight. Love you. Um, so we'll be doing that next week. I'm also doing Couch Court with Llama After Dark, which is about the Sean Diddy Combs trial, his federal sex trafficking RICO case. Some of the stuff that has come out has been absolutely shocking to hear.
It
And
has.
heads up, I've been trying to record last 4 days all freaking day. So many things have happened, but I did manage to record at least 20 minutes from Tuesday. And afterwards, because we had this show to do, so I had to put a pause in it. And I looked at Amos and I was like, I can't believe I just had to say the things I said.
The things that you have said,
Hmm.
I mean,
And
the fact that you're having to say them is horrifying to me.
you, there's a lot of,
It's
especially
nightmares. It's
with
what
the next
nightmares are
episode.
made of.
Oh my God, I laughed so hard. I don't want to give spoilers. I don't give
Don't give
spoilers. Everyone
spoilers.
knows that.
I do.
But those will be released this weekend at some point. Many of us have had a very busy personal
Yes,
week, and that has caused some of the episodes to get behind. But I promise we're catching up all this weekend. and we will be caught up come next week. But oh, you guys, just prepare yourself for this Diddy. So it's wild.
Yeah, he ain't going anywhere yet.
That's true. I'll get to you in just a second on that one. And if you haven't watched any of the Diddy stuff, you can find my coverage on our US versus Sean Diddy Combs playlist. So be sure to check that out. And real quick, if you have a member on our YouTube channel, Teri and I are doing a members only live shows every Wednesday night for the rest of this month in June at 7 p.m. Eastern, and they are a lot of fun. We have been telling people way too much about ourselves, I think. You can become a member by clicking the join button and selecting which tier best suits you by the little, dots there. It is through memberships that we keep the lights on and the crime stories flowing. Now, I start a comment earlier before we sign off. I specifically start a comment from Juju Bean. Juju Bean, are you still here? Are you still here, Juju Bean? If not, it's fine. I'll tell you Monday that I responded to this comment that you posted a while ago at the beginning of the show. You said, oh, that's in my way, thinking about Crystal Rogers, Ballard from Kentucky. Now, I can't say for sure, but literally before I got on this show tonight, the lovely Amos said, what are you going to do after Diddy? And will you do Crystal Rogers? Because it's not going to be televised.
Live streamed.
So I said, we will talk about it this weekend and we will figure out how we can do that because I'm very familiar with the Crystal Rogers case. It is a big deal. It's not being televised, and I may likely in some way, shape, or form, I don't know how we're going to do yet, but I will cover that because Crystal Rogers deserves answers.
Mm-hmm.
So thank you for asking that question, Jujubee. With that, Teri, how about we sign off and give these lovely people a start to their weekend? Oops, sorry.
Absolutely. Now, for all of you that are fathers, I was reminded today it is Father's Day on Sunday.
It
So
is.
happy Father's Day. Just so everybody knows, if you're a father, it does mean something. Okay. There's a lot of people who don't have, fathers in their lives for one reason or another. So if you get to call yourself a father and you have that, I want you to know you are loved and we appreciate you. Okay. Now, I want to say thank you for joining us and for being patient with us as all of the crazy technology stuff crashed yesterday and let us push it to tonight. I do appreciate that. It shows
Best
that we're all
fans
very
in all the
flexible.
land. Yes, and best fans in the land.
Absolutely. Y'all are just amazing. Okay. But I also want y'all to remember to take care of yourself. Okay. Be sure to take care of yourself. These cases can be hard. We know, Llama and I've loved the true crime world for many, many years. We know there can be times that you have to say, this one's not for me, and you have to walk away. So I always want to remind you, please take care of yourself. Just pop in, say hi, and then leave. It's okay.
Yeah,
we appreciate
okay.
it. And guys, if you see something, say something. Remembering by not saying something, you are protecting the perps. Okay. Just think about that. By not speaking up, you're protecting them. Okay. So, and until next time, and especially over this weekend, enjoy your wine time, guys.
Or margarita time, because that's what's happening for us today.
Or margaritas. I'm not having anything else tonight because I'm like, woohoo.
Girl.
I got
No,
babies.
I want to thank you, everyone, for listening and supporting us. I know I've just stepped in as co-host, and I appreciate your guys' acceptance of me. I'm so happy to be here to cover these cases and bring them attention. And I just want to appreciate I appreciate all of the support and becoming the new co-host for True Crime and Wine Time. Now, until next time, as I always say, take care of your mind, take care of each other, and never stop asking the hard questions. Actually, I just realized that's the first time I've ever said that.
I know. I was like,
but I'm going to be saying it always. That's my new thing. I thought about it really hard, and I was like, no, I need to say that. And actually, I think I'm going to say that for the show, every show, because it's important, right?
It's
Take
important.
care of your mind, because this is important, you guys. If we learned anything from this case, it's that your mind is
so. It's okay to admit something's not for you.
Exactly. and take care of each other, right?
Yes.
Sometimes I feel like we lose
forget.
sight of that in today's world. It makes it difficult. And never stop asking the hard questions. People don't like people that ask questions, but I am a question asker.
That's right.
And you should ask questions always. Now, until next week, you guys, go forth and be amazing. All right. Thank you guys so much. You have a wonderful night.